Welcome to Brikama, the second FGM convergence. This is Justact Gambia, and before we go further, we would like to introduce the various people for you. I am Mohamed Kebe, the coordinator of Justact Gambia.
Welcome to you all to Brikama district. This is the Lower Flood West district. We are happy to host this program, and then we would like to at least extend our happiness to our colleagues who have also chosen this place. There are many other areas that they could have chosen, but choosing Brikama as a place where they're going to sensitize the youth. And then we are also saying thank you to them. We are saying welcome, and they can start the program with us, because it is very important to talk about FGM, as the menace and then the problems regarding FGM is paramount. So we want them to come in and tell us exactly what FGM is and why do we need to stop it. So with regards to that, then we are also going to take our stance and sensitize the people and tell them exactly what FGM is and why they should stop it, because we're going to learn from here. So I'm giving them the assurance that the participants here are going to take the baton from them. Once they give us the information, we will go around and also sensitize other people and fight to end FGM in the Gambia. So welcome, Justact, and then thank you very much. Yeah.
We can have the project concept. Who is Omar Jame, who will come, the director of Justact Gambia, will give you the project concept.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. First of all, I want to recognize the presence of the District Youth Chairperson, Mr. Jam Kamara. And moving forward, I equally want to recognize the presence of the Youth and Sport Coordinator for Central River Region, Mr. Musa Jara. And on my far right, I think I have my able chairperson, that is the Justact chairperson, Mr. Usman Wulabamba, who is equally with us. And equally, I want to recognize the presence of my brother, that is Momodu El Gassama, who have been serving as a consultant towards this project. And equally, I want to recognize the presence of each and every one of you present here. But then before moving forward, I just want to register my sincere apology for starting late, that is on behalf of Justact, to say, as we agreed on, the starting time was 9 o'clock, but again, it moved onwards to 10 or 11, so I want to register our apology as an organization, and it happens beyond our control. So the most important thing here is, like, we all understand why we are all here. And our purpose of being here is what I am being tasked to better share with you, whereas we can all understand the concept and equally disseminate the information out there, that is the youth groups that we are representing or the districts that we are representing. Today we are all gathered here for a training that is on community training on FGM and advocacy. And this is the second of its kind that Justact have hold. The first one started in Kauru, and from Kauru we have moved on Lower Fladu in ensuring that we engage the young people on FGM. And in engaging those young people on FGM, this activity is only possible through the girls' generation. The girl generation is a network, an international network that is operating across Africa, and their roles and responsibility, or their mandate, is to ensure that gender-based violence is not being compromised in our communities. So in that line, Janjambura Uniting Sustainable Tourism and Community Training applied for a grant sometime 2-3 months ago, and after that application, our grant was successfully granted, and we got some amount of money in ensuring that we are able to engage young people of this region on the dangers attached to gender-based violence, more particularly female genital mutilation. And moving forward, I think here you will all agree with me that female genital mutilation is a traditional practice that have been going on in our respective communities. In one way or the other, it has been related to tradition. Others would relate it to our religion. But with some health reports, which during the training we will get more elaborations on from the health personnel, who would give us a marathon of some of the health implications when it comes to female genital mutilation. But then I think this is something that we all understand from our local communities, that people keep practicing FGM, and the reason behind it is they would say it's a culture, or it is more or less being related to religion. But as I said earlier, as much as we related it to tradition, culture, and religion, we should also look at other indicators, and those indicators shall be the health implications. You can all agree with me that if a girl child is being taken to circumcisions, there are some dangers that are attached. And this girl child, in normal circumstances, sometimes you look at it, they're very vulnerable. They cannot make decisions. It is our parents who make decisions on behalf of this girl child. And us as young people is where we have a role to play, or is where we have a responsibility. Because we are the leaders of today and equally the leaders of tomorrow. So at some point, we must stand at a position to take decisions at our community level, to take decisions at our homes, and all not. So again, this is why we feel it is very, very important to engage the youth folk, that is the young people, in trying to establish that awareness among us. Without doing that, I think we'll be leaving a gap. And the gap will be, we may more of rely on some of the second-hand informations we get. Not only about female genital mutilation, but then gender-based violence as a whole. However, looking around some of the policies, you will come to realize that the issues, we think we need to dialogue. We think we need to discuss. We think, some revelations need to be made, wherein us as young people will get that. As we are representing our district structures, I think it will be important that whatever we learn from this training, we go back and share it with our other members from our respective organizations. And it should not only stop there. Let's start to engage our elders at home. Maybe some of us are reluctant to stay away from female genital mutilation simply because they don't understand the dangers behind it. But us as young people, fortunate enough to be part of the 21st century, I think our orientations and understanding should be at that level. So we should be able to go back to our communities, engage our parents, engage our community leaders, make them understand some of the laws behind FGM. And it's not only the laws. Let's look at the health implications. Maybe me being a man, I cannot definitely at some point justify tangibly some of the health implications. I'm sorry, it's not like an insult to you, the girls, but then I think some of you should be in the position to share with us your experiences on female genital mutilation. And together, if we put our hands together, I believe it can be an issue that can be addressed. Looking at us as young people, we have the energy, we have the influence, and we have every pushing factor to influence laws, to influence the mind of the people, and also to ensure that we influence what we think is right and what we think are the best practices that an individual can undertake in a community. Finally, I don't want to bore you with that much talks. I think we have some resource persons within us who will be taking us through some of these issues. And one will be, we have someone from the health department who will be giving us presentations on the health implications. We have someone from the legal department who will take us through some of the legal implications. As I said earlier, like in the Gambia, if you are found wanting in relation to conducting FGM, you go and serve 3 years jail term or pay $10,000 fine. And you know, we don't want to see our young people being culprits of such. And the best way we can address it is to engage you, ensure that you know that understanding is there. The other one we will be having is on socio-cultural matters. We will have someone who will take us through on the socio-cultural issues in relation to female genital mutilation. On that note, I want to seize this opportunity, though the district youth chairperson have welcomed you, to equally add my voice to welcome you all in Lower Fuladu district in Brikama as an organization that is Janjambure Uniting Sustainable Tourism and Community Training, and also to reflect our minds that this training is only possible through the girls' generation. They gave us this grant, so meaning without the girl generation we would have not been here. All the expenses that we will be incurring here is all paid by the girl generation in making sure that youth groups are engaged. So on that note, I want to thank you all for your kind attention, and I would wish you all a fruitful day during the deliberations.
FGM is the female genital mutilation, and it has count on it. Anybody who is caught practicing it, whether you are the one practicing it or a neighbor beside you, there is a law and implication upon that particular person who practices it. Omar, thank you very much for that remark. Notwithstanding, we can have a statement by the youth coordinator of the Central River Region, Youth and Sport, who is Mr. Jara.
My task is simple. As the custodian of young people here representing the Ministry of Youth and Sport, I think what Justact is doing through the girls' generation intervention is a course at the right direction, because we are looking at young people at different dimensions, young people at different levels, and this is one of the level or one of the dimensions that we are looking at. That is the female genital mutilation, equally the advocacy sector. As young people, when our young people are well sensitized, then we are putting up a very good, productive future for our young people. When the young people, the youth sector is being sensitized and be able to get the requisite information, then we are putting up a very sustainable future for ourselves. As I said, the young people of this region, through the Girls' Generation funding, Justact, and other two youth organizations who have funding grants from Girls' Generation, are all youth organizations. I'm proud of the Girls' Generation through Gasama. I'm telling the Girls' Generation, thank you very much for that intervention that you've done for the young people of this region. Having said that, the young people, you are here. The ball is at your court. Take it or leave it. As Chairperson said, the director said, the advocacy is all about giving you the insight of what is all about female genital mutilation. There are laws, there are policies attached to it. Before we see young people becoming culprits, young people are taken to court, I think this is the way we should do in order to help our young people not to be taken to court. Because ignorance to law is no excuse. To say, stand in front of the law to say that, I've never known that, I don't know this, it's never an excuse. That is why the young people of this region, Justact and its partners, take it upon themselves to see how do we go to the communities, how do we involve our young people, how do we make sure our young people are au fait with all these laws, to look at the health implications and the social norms of what we are doing, to say that in order for us to be able to make a stop to what we are yearning for, that is NFGM in the Gambia. The NFGM in the Gambia cannot happen in our absence. Because today, look around, it's the young people presently, 95% of us are bearing children. It is us who should take the transit. Our grandfathers, our grandmothers are there. They've already gone towards what they're supposed to go through. We've already gone of what we're supposed to go through. But our kids that are coming, let us try to help those ones who are coming. How do we help them? We have to take up the challenge. It's a transit. This transition, we have to make a stop to this transition. We are at the level of bearing children. As a man or a female, we are at the level of bearing children. Our children that are coming, let us say no for FGM. When we start that, before we say the first decade, we've gone the first decade to a century, we will see a free society of female genital mutilation. I think when we do that as a group of young people, let's sensitize one another, let's talk to one another, let us be one another's peer and trying to save one another's life. Because saving one another's life is making an end to what does not take you to court. $50,000 levy on a young person because of a deed. Where do you get it? You go for 3 years imprisonment. Or you have both. The legal person will talk about that. Do we see our young people become culprits? I don't think we should see a society where it's only young people who are going to jail. So we want the young people, before going to jail, let them know actually what they're supposed to do. Let's have other means of development, other ideas of development, not going to jail. How do we do that? We need to desist from what we are advocating for, no to FGM. Last, I'm calling on all other stakeholders. Let them do it as Girls' Generation is doing. Young people are here. They can do everything. Anything that we think of, young people can do it. I call on other stakeholders to venture into youth development, to venture into young people, for them to take up challenges in development. There we will have a sustainable future for our young people. I therefore thank you very much for your kind attention.
Is Mr. Bamba can give you the brief overview of the Justact project.
Here to talk about Justact as an organization. We are youth groups residing in Janjanbureh. Here to organize a training on FGM, to advocate on how people can able to stop the female genital mutilation. Anyway, Justact is an organization in Janjanbureh, simply means Janjanbureh Uniting Sustainable Community Training. We are established since 2010. So it goes up to date. And today, we are having our second program in Lower Fladu, Brikama, to talk to the young people about FGM. Because as we all know, it's a practice that is, as I say, I may say, very dangerous to our girl child. And we should not dare be to leave our people to undergo under certain pains through FGM, because it's a dangerous act. As other speakers have said here, that there are implications behind performing FGM. So in order to save our people and save our young girls from such a painful act, I think we need to bring the young peoples together as we being the future leader for tomorrow. At least we sensitize one another pertaining to FGM, because it has been something that has been going on since in the 80s, when I was not even born. And government comes and goes, still the same law is existing. So I think it's a mandate for the young people to come together and work as one to make sure we make ends to FGM through the girl generation. And I am here to give thanks to our able consultant, Mr. Gazama, to this occasion in advocacy on FGM in our region. I am saying welcome to the program. I don't have much to say because there are resource persons who are there to tell us more about the health implications and then the laws behind FGM. There is somebody also from the law body who is coming to tell us more about it. So on that note, I give thanks to everybody for coming, and I give thanks to our able director, Omar Jammeh, for contacting all the people in the region with his able bodies, Pakebe, for facilitating this program, and I say thanks to all of them. Thank you very much.
What is culture? It's an interaction. I am asking this question. What do you understand if you hear the word culture? Can anybody tell me the difference between tradition and culture?
Because the way of life of different individuals, different ethnic groups, okay? And tradition are things that we, practice. Tradition are things that we practice, but culture is our way of life, the way we live.
So, whoever infringe on somebody's culture, that means you infringe on the individual's identity. And the identity is key in everybody's life. Like the identity cards. As a Tilibonka. As a Tilibonka, you say something against the Tilibonkas. As my culture, I'll feel offended. Traditionally, you're looking at what we are saying is the same trend, because that's the tradition I found. Take it over from my father, who took it from his father, their fathers, forefathers, grandparents. So you see, that is what we found.
I want to add on to some of the things he was saying, and I'll more of buttress it in local language. I think we're talking about young people in advocacy. And if you're talking about young people in advocacy, meaning it requires a lot. Because if you are to go out there and speak to people, then you need certain skills to do that. more especially on the topic we are discussing on, that is FGM. Because what happened here is like there are languages that are accepted within our societies as much as you are an advocate. If you are going out to Brikama community to talk about FGM, that is female genital mutilation, you must first and foremost comport yourself. That is one of its characteristics. And two, you must also know the language you will communicate to. Because like if you go to my community in Janjambure, you gather the community and you want to discuss with them on FGM, walong musula konotati, kangole beje isa fono nyaming. Because ita sinola alfal nyato, o kotol nyato, o bal nyato, eka fo ko kamuso samba ko yangoto. That's just a typical example that I want to give. Sorry for that language. So nara ko like enyanta kata advocacy la, ela kuma kango menka boy da kono enyanta ko olonne. Because comme nga example o men dire kay nyatele musole kay ko lafte sambala ko yangol to e manta ko yangoto o e musole malti wo words are very painful. Ni tata community dolto ni e forek ene ka du nyolale. So ñil be mu felle de mele yalon ko as much as mbe advocacy ñinke kan, we need to put them into consideration. Like maybe tata makati si falto ko nyaka to ta. Things of that kind ko accept no because nkajele ko like ya civilizing the demanding oh ni ko wula ko nota. Nkajele ko you are not trying to insult and all not. So as much as nimbita to our communities puruka FGM advocate nyantaka na language nyantaka jibe bakele. And amandang language da mafangola. The other thing nyantaka memfana jibe je hani wolem ko nkamenul dum. When we are meeting some of these elders or some of these communities. Like ninyanta kata saruja for an advocacy, for example. Saruja gola lembalale. Maybe mbita kanje ngadunke dumme alonko maybe ngamfamuta ko ndala haita community nyimbeti. Maybe people will not listen to me. Nekata community to enyanta ka community la set up understand. And in understanding the setups, all in you show your cultural nat. There, even your code of dress, inyantaka jibel. Yajako, you put up a dress, me alonko, though mafoko ekana modest, but again, ekana dress in a way, me alonko, come model would like to take that distance because of maybe that dress code and all not. Maybe even bare musolfana. This is something me alonko, we can look at it. Sometimes come ibita kan sate almamoya or ibita kan some religious leaders ya puruke engage on FGM. Ita musungutu ngoti maybe a changalo dung or whatever dung. Ingay bobe band. Maybe kata community eldal melia ela kumakango ita alamwela because they may not have respect for you because of imarila coat of dress. And equally that goes ndol kambandungol maybe ibita kan sate almamoya or sate alkalo or sefo ye yutal. They will not take you serious. So as much as mbekela advocates ti ñun mu characteristics so lati mele alonko ñantake jibe mfangol daji koto and ngaje ko we work on them. Anytime if you are going to a community, nga community ñu understand ngalong wo community mun language chief ay ko wole tolerate mun court of dress e ko wole tolerate and munem the point of entry fanati. Because there are communities ne lafta kay engage in order straight to the community ko ansula da funding ke I want to discuss with you. When you don't use the right approach ni me hakkeltu e be baylo sate konol because etata sate o sate to silol le bale ka dungala nyameng. One, you either have the alcalis or the chiefs in these respective communities. Menule alonko ni lafta ka community will engage well entry point. Two, you have the village development committees men mu VD silt you'll be influence totally. And if you are approaching a community, you'll be more than mele alonko. Is say involved.
The signs, browse it front and back. Just look at the signs and pass it. Let it go forward. The presentation will be on this. This is a UNICEF guide. Good. I will say good afternoon to you all. As all the presenters have been talking about health effects. Whoever talks, the reason why it should be banned is health effects. Now we're going to concentrate on the health effects of FGM and the roles of young people. I just have a slide for us to discuss and know what are our roles as young people. Yes. I'm Jam Kamara, JM. Yes. Yeah. Uh, the presentation will be in this format. First, we'll define what is FGM. Second, we'll also know how it is carried out in the Gambia, or how FGM is done. And then third, we want to discuss why FGM is practiced in this country. Because once you don't know why it is practiced, you cannot abolish it. You want to go and sensitize somebody, you need to know why the person is doing something before you can ask the person to stop it. The other one, we're going to discuss about the short-term, the immediate effects. Immediately after doing FGM, what are the effects that you're going to encounter? We're going to discuss that too. The other one, we're going to discuss about long-term effects. There are not only short-term effects, but there are long-term effects of FGM. Because once you do it, you might have an effect that will last with you for the rest of your life. So the other one is the role of health workers in FGMC. We'll brainstorm on all of these ones before I go one by one. And the last one is the role of the community, and then conclusion and the way forward. The way forward is how do we think we can proceed with the fight towards FGM and end it. The first question I will ask is, what is FGM? Can somebody tell me? Yes. How is it done in this country? There are different types of FGMCs, as I said, but in the Gambia here, we have 1 and 2 that we practice. How do they do it? Go to the Sarawak community. When the child is delivered before 1 week, that is the time they do the FGMC. They cut it. They will tell you when the child is very young, the child feels less pain. So they will just cut it. Some will even use their fingers just to cut the tip. Others will use razor blade. Depending on, for Sarahules, if in their fingers they can use it and cut it, no problem. So that's one. Without sterilizing it, no sterilization. They will tell you if you clean the knife, like it's a belief that you don't clean that knife even. You just use that knife from one person to another. Number one is pain, because when you go through FGMC, believe that blood should come out. You understand? So the amount of the blood will also matter, because if a lot of blood, if you lose a lot of blood, thereby you run into anemia. And in most cases,
everybody, as clearly stated earlier in the morning, I am Modulamin Gassama, the consultant for the project. Mostly what I do is I work with organizations and communities, especially in such areas of concern, which is the female genital mutilation, commonly called FGM. Others call it FGMC, female genital mutilation cutting, whilst in some contexts as well, others refer it to as female circumcision. But they are all referring to the same issue. At first, we all understand that countries are mostly governed by laws. And when we talk of laws, in most cases, they have two relevant approaches. One is to build on the attitudes of the citizenry, and two is to bring an end to a practice that the government feels that it is not good for the betterment of the citizenry, which of course currently FGM is part of. When we talk of the legal context, as we all know, this campaign begins over 3 decades prior, that is 30 years back, and it is a common syndrome within the African continent. Currently, Gambia is the 29th country. I repeat, the Gambia is the 29th country which has set up laws to forbid the practice of FGM. I believe that if the issue of FGMC wasn't a reality, today we will have 28 countries to 29 that will bring a law to abandon the practice. Do we believe in that? No. If the issues that we are talking about FGM wasn't a reality, do we think that 29 countries will create laws to forbid the practice? No. Just imagine the figure, 29 countries. So these are all indicators to tell us about the consequences that are affiliated within the practice. Let's say, for example, looking at our Gambian context, it is so unfortunate because when we look at the statistics, you will see to read that majority of the citizenry are not literates. True or false? Majority of the populace are not educated. True or false? True. And even as for those who are educated, now you will see to read that only few among them have what we call quality education. And there is low level of research, very low level of research. In our different localities, we only sit on one type of information. That's what they will tell you. Sama budget minimalist, sama papa lila ma wax. Sama ustaz lila ma wax. But do we take further steps to go and research? No. Sama mam lila la wax rek, you sit on that. And then that is perfect. We all just sit on that and then no. Even the religious is encouraging us to go and seek for knowledge. Even the religious is encouraging us to go and seek for knowledge. So that alone tells us that in order for us to have clear information about this practice, it's not even stop on this training. This is just one step ahead for us to bring you with some facts and some information regarding the practice. It is also incumbent, it is expected upon you to go and make further findings. Yes, clarify it by yourself. Fire Sanya with in your head. Then you will know which decision to take. Probably what might be applicable to generations before might not be applicable to our generation. I am sure that God gives us the strength and that powerful mind. Let us not only use 1% or 2% of our minds. Let us use at least 10%. I am sure we will be able to make right decision. Let us not only rely based on information that we get from other sources outside. Let us also make good use of our minds and think critically about this issue. Because it's about the girl child that we are talking about. And when we talk of the girl child, these are people who will become our sisters, our mothers, and our wives. So therefore, it is very much important that we are not expecting all of you to be convinced here at this moment. That's practically impossible. That is why we are presenting the information to you. Even despite the fact that the law has been created, still now we are creating dialogue and discussion. It doesn't mean that we are just trying to lavish money. No. It is because we felt that there is a very big gap when it comes to awareness.
Advocate or send this message across our community or in our society, which is very, very important. Like as I was doing my course, that is IOU, Islamic Online University, under Akida, I mean, I just come across a course wherein a child asks his father, why while you are, summoning, in your summon, I usually see people crying. But there are people during their summon, they will not cry. Okay, the father answered the child that an information from the heart moved to another heart. That means when you are seeing things, like when you are advocating, or when sending this information, you yourself, you should believe in what you are seeing. Because we are sensitized a lot in regards to this program. We know the health implication. We know the psychological implication. I mean, so you should believe in yourself. You should know the information on heart, so that the one you are sensitizing, that you can also feel the same information that you are sharing. So it's very, very important. The information should start from oneself. How do you understand the program? How do you, really get the knowledge into yourself? Your body language should also take into consideration.